Hey guys, Dill with D&J Prospecting and Outdoor Adventures, and as requested, we're here to set up a miller table properly and show you how to run it. So I'm fixing to do a quick video. We were asked to do a video on how to set up a miller table, and this is how I set my miller table up. Alright, so first thing I do is once I get my proper water in here, I get everything set up, and then I put it on here, and then I put my little Stanley level across here and make sure it's level left to right. There's a lot of technical ways to set up your miller table or your sluice box. Everyone's like, oh, you have to do this measurement, it's this many inches per foot and yada yada yada. Or you can go to Home Depot and buy a standard Stanley Construction Workers, probably not a professional construction workers, but the home guy like myself, and it has this cool contraption right here. So that level bubble is actually on a swivel. And as I zoom in here, you'll see the little arrow indicator. I've got it down here on like 2 degrees, 3 degrees, so I can set up the miller table, but you can put it at 9 degrees, 12 degrees, 5 degrees, whatever you need, and use that to actually level up your system you're using. So I got this one here. It's about a 2.5, 3 degrees, and this is the swivel, so once you set it there, you level it there. So if you look back here on the flat one, this is for your level surface with the standard level. It's not level because we're doing it to the one with the degrees on there. Same situation on this side. I'll check both sides, make sure that bad chicken, I'll do it on this side, make sure that bad chicken is level. If I have to make any adjustments, I do that right down here. So I try to get approximately a 2 to 3 degree incline on my miller table. That's the sweet spot that I've found for the black sands that we run. Some of your bigger, lighter material, if you're not running the thick, heavy black sands that we've got, you might only need a 2 degree or 1 degree or what have you. Some of the visual checks that I look for when I've got the miller table running is I've got even water level all the way across both sides, because I've seen some folks using them and you look up over here and there'll actually be some freeboard space with no water because it's all tilting. The quickest way to tell, in my opinion, is go on the end. Visually, you want your water flow to be pretty much even, so if you can see it's tapering off the same direction. I've got very similar ripples by those little screws on both sides. That's a quick visual way to do it. Some people just set it up visually. If I was off in any way, you would come right down here on the way. This is actually a Gold Fox. This is actually a Gold Fox USA setup here, and you've got little wing nuts on each of your pivot points. You got 2 in the front, and then way back there you got 1 in the back. Then obviously you can see the little vial hanging down, and then you've got a little pump down in here that you can adjust the flow on that as well. If you had to do any adjustments, you could either back this right, raise or lower this, raise or lower that to get that. If you make any adjustments, do all your measurements again. So I start out making sure I'm level this way. Then I follow up with leveling it this way and this way. If I make any adjustment at all, I go back to this. And then if I got to make another adjustment, I make it, and then I go through all those steps until I can take all 3 measurements. And when all 3 measurements, I can take them, it's in the bubble center line every single time, and I don't have to make any adjustments, then I'm set up. So when running the miller table, I got a little bit of material down here my daughter was playing with. Let me grab this. It's pre-wetted or soaked or whatever the proper verbiage is. You want to screen all your material down. So if you look at this material, it's got small chunky rocks in it. That's a no-go. You can't do that. You want only the finest of fines. So we sell these. These are just standard kitchen, but you can see that little bit of gravel and pebbles in there. You don't want to put in your miller table. So what you want to do is you just want to get the finest of fines with no gravel in it, and you want to sprinkle it across the top. Now if you look at ours, what we did, because we have some very, very fine, super fine gold, we took sandpaper and made 1 swoosh across the top. That puts a few extra ripples in there. And if you look at the way this thing's designed, it's kind of hard to tell with the water there, but Bullfox USA takes a tape and runs it through here, and then there's a space with no tape, some tape, a space with no tape, tape, and then they put the paint over the top of it. And it's a textured paint, that way, you know, it lets the heavies and the solids grip on that. But you're gonna take your material and you're gonna get it in the water. You can see with the water flow that I got set, and it's because I've got it set for super fine, so you don't see any movement there. So take your material and move it back and forth. So as you move it back and forth, you can see now I've got sand that's traveled all the way down here by taking my paintbrush and going left and right. You want to do it gentle, that way you're not making the gold travel down there, and you don't want to put your fingers or your hands in this water, because the oils off your fingers or your hands will actually get into the water, and that's what causes gold to float when you get that surface tension. So the gold will actually, the oil will get onto the gold, it'll pick up, and then it'll just take off like crazy. Now this material that I'm running is a special batch that I let my daughter play with. That's been ran about 6 or 7 times. And there shouldn't be any gold in it, but because we do have some of the finest gold ever in some of our black sands, I always find more gold in it. So if you look really, really super closely, right here is the tiniest of tiniest pieces of gold. And like I said, this material has been ran 1,000 times. So, that being said, what I do at this point, so as you can see, I put the sands up here. There's nothing left, and now I've got all my sands piled up here. So I'll work my way to the bottom. I'll go left and right, and now I'm checking to see if any gold's got by. I'll go left and right again, and that sand's going to travel down to the next lower spots. And as you follow that sand all the way up. And so far the only piece of gold that we have is actually right there. So we'll take that gold and we're going to wash it right over to the hole. So any gold that you get, you put it and you wash it till it's right above the hole. So you see it sitting there. Once you get it above the hole, you push it down and it falls right into your vial. So I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to grab some material that's got a little more gold in it, and then see if we can run a little bit of it just so you can see. You want to hold that for me, Devin? I'll be right back. Can you hold the camera for me, Ben? Alright, so what I got here is it's the same black sand that you see in our black sand challenge. This is just wet still, we haven't dried it out. This stuff is usually riddled with gold, and actually I scooped up a little bit of clay here. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll put her bucket down here, and put this in the strainer. Very bright. There we go. I'm gonna put that in the strainer, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some water in here like so. Doesn't take much. Now what I'm doing is I'm getting the clay and I'm getting the gravel out that I don't want on the Miller table. Like I said, you can pick these up. We sell them online. They're dirt cheap. If you live in the lower 48, you probably have a dollar store. We don't have the dollar stores up here. That was the only thing that one of the few things I miss about being in Alaska is no dollar store. But you can go to the dollar store, find something that's as fine mesh as possible. I mean, obviously this is hobbies for most of us, and we want to try to do this as cheaply as possible. So even though I sell them for a little bit of money, $4 or $5, I forget now, you could probably go pick up something like this from the dollar store. I'm assuming. We don't, like I said, we don't have one here. So once I do that, so what we did is we ran that black material through this, and you can see the mesh on this. I don't even know what that mesh would be. I'd have to count holes per inch and all that. But basically I got all the gravel out of here. So the gravel is out, and then I'm left with all this sludge. So I'm going to pour some of this water back out because I don't really need it. It needs to be a little bit wet. And then this is a very tedious and slow process. So you're going to take, depends on your material. This stuff turns into like a paste or putty. Like I said, this is the same stuff that's in the black sand challenge. And then we're just going to put it on here. This has not been screened or anything, so you can still see a little bit of the blondes in there. And that's going to be really good for this demonstration. Here, pen back over here, bud.
Oops, sorry.
Nope, you're good. So you can see how quickly blondes are traveling down here. It's a lighter weight material, so it gets to moving. And then, like I said, if you go like this, you can watch it travel down. So I'll come up here midstream. I'm going to brush this out. See how quickly it just falls all the way down. And I'm going to work on from the bottom on my way up. That way I can see if there's any gold. There shouldn't be any gold because, like I said, this was the blondes that quickly came down. So I'm going to try to get most of my blondes off here. And I work through my material quickly just because, one, I'm making a video, and two, I've got tons of it. So I'm going to move this stuff, and as I agitate this back and forth, it causes my material to slide down. Now if I just let go, you pan in there real close, Devin, and look at it. If I just let go, not on my thing there, and just do that, you can see, maybe you can, I can't tell with the GoPro or not, but you should be able to see. Yeah, there is a lot of water reflection, huh? Let's see if I go this way. But yeah, you can see how that stuff just travels down and keeps going once agitated. Now some of the other stuff it just sits there and gets locked in place on the little mini grooves that are in here. So swipe it left, and you can just watch this stuff. See how it's traveling right on down. Alright, hold that up there. I'm going to burn through some of this material, see if we can get a little gold out of it. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to move pretty quickly here. This is just for video purposes. I'm going to try to get all these sands, blondes off of here and let them fall into the bottom. Alright, come back up here, bud. So you can see up here we still got blondes and we got black sand mixed together. So I'm going to start at the bottom and then work my way up to the top. And I'm just going to go back and forth, nice and slow. Now look how it's agitated all the way down. So our light material and blondes have definitely came all the way down. There again, I'm going to go back to the bottom. I'm going to go left and right. The whole time I'm looking for the elusive yellow shiny. And I'm going to work my way back up the top and let it go. And I don't see any yellow there, so I'm just going to go back and forth and let this stuff work its way on out. I like to do a little bit at a time. It's hard to tell with the glare on here, but there's actually a pile, a good pile, and it's only a half a spoon of black sands, but there's actually a pile up here. So I'm going to work on the bottom again. In doing that, I'm going to watch. If it's gold, it'll stand out. And as a matter of fact, there's a little piece of gold right here. So I'm going to go work all the way around it. But you can see that microfine gold right there. Gets hung up on the riffle. So I'm going to leave that there and I'm going to watch it. Everything else is clean. So I'm going to go right above. Actually, with this piece of fine gold, I'm going to move it to the side now that I've found it. So it's out of the danger zone. Now it's not going to move for me. There it is. I'm going to leave it right here. Off to the side so I'm not agitating it anymore. Then I'm going to go right to the bottom of my black sands again and start hitting it. And then it's going to flow down. Same thing. Work my way here. There's actually a micro fine piece of gold there, but I don't really mess with it too much because it seems like every time I touch this black sand, doesn't matter how many times I run it, I find more gold in it. So at some point in time, unless you really just want to do it, at some point in time you just leave it go. Alright, so I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to agitate the big pile of it. Let's see what we can do. Alright. And nothing on the bottom, so I'm going to agitate, get it out of there. See any gold in here, bud? Back and forth. So this stuff here is just stuff I scooped right off of the beach that I found. There was no machines used, no nothing. And if you remember correctly, you've seen how much I put in here, and it was a half a spoonful. So out of this little half a spoonful, it's a few flakes, which amazes me. Other places that I've done up in the mountains, you do that and you don't see anything, but out of that half a spoonful, I've got a piece of gold here. It's hard to see. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of micro gold. 10, 11, 12. Actually, there's a whole patch of it here. So let me try to see if I, from this half a teaspoon of stuff, can get all this gold clumped up together so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me work most of this nasty black sand material out of here. And see if I got any more. What am I missing? Yep, there's a piece right there. Get up there. That's the cool thing about this table is when you do find a piece that's made it down, especially when you're not gentle like me, you just grab your paintbrush and scoop her on up. So from a half a teaspoon, I'll show you here in a little bit how much gold's actually in this Black Sand Challenge material if you actually work it like you have nothing better in life to do. Let's see. There's a piece there. Get up there. How did I let that big old piece get way down here? Oh, it's real flat. Alright, so let me move this Evelyn's bucket here. Alrighty. So there's actually gold there too. See if I can get all this stuff over here and get it isolated into an area where you can actually see it. The results of a half a teaspoon of the Black Sand Challenge. It's all starting to color down because it's so small. And then when you see this, you'll see why I put these extra grooves in this, because it's fun to challenge yourself and see how much of this stuff you can actually get out of here. You see that, bud? So if you look super closely, yeah, there's a glare. Stand over here just a little bit so you can get a shadow on this. Put your hand over here or something. No, that's not gonna work. All right, let's see if I get the right angle. So what I'll do is I'll just get real close, but it's really hard to tell. But all these little specks that you're seeing right there is some of that micro gold. And if I look at it and actually count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Man, I bet there's 50 or 60 pieces there. Let me play with this thing and see if I can actually get the glare off of it so you can see it. You can see my face, but not the gold. That's funny. But, well, it is what it is. This doesn't need to be an 800-hour video, but if you look at this here, there we go. You can see it now. There's just microfine gold riddled in here, and I tried to put it all, like, sweep it all together as much as I could so you could see it. But as you can see, that's that Black Sand Challenge gold. That's the difficult stuff. You can get the easy stuff out pretty quick on that Black Sand Challenge. But when you get down to this sludge, every little half a tablespoon like that has 50, 100, 150 pieces of that microfine gold. It's great for winter boredom. But, all right. Well, hey guys, I hope this is helps you out setting setting up your miller table. Had some friends of mine, Elizabeth and Corey, that requested some form of video showing people how to set up the miller table. They had just bought one and wanted a little more instruction on how to do it. If you use this method, you'll be pretty successful. You'll find all your good chunky gold will be really easy to find, and you can see from what I just showed you with some of my Black Sand Challenge material, even at micro gold, get stuck in there. If you're doing a lot of the micro gold, that's what I recommend taking a sandpaper, probably a 60 grit or 100 grit. Get a small section of it, 2 or 3 inches wide, put it on one side, put down pressure, one stripe across. And what that does is peel some of that paint up and gets a little more deeper grooves in there, and that helps catch that micro gold, that super fine gold. Super fine gold doesn't ever weigh anything, but it looks really cool when you have a lot of it. All right, guys, so that's how you set up a miller table. That's how you run material through there. There's some cool tips and techniques if you're catching some super micro fine gold. Like I said, it never amounts to anything when you get that micro gold, but it sure is cool to look at. So thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit like, leave a comment, tell your friends about it, and I can't wait to see you on the next video.